Hi, and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today is June 19th. We're on page 56 of the magazine, and today's provocative title is Oiled Up and Ready to Fight.
好，我们的中文标题是橄榄油与汗水的交織，土耳其塗油摔跤。
Okay, that's a way more clear title. You know that we're using olive oil, it's in Turkey, and that we're doing wrestling. But if you look at the English title, you're like, oiled up, these are machines? These are machines fighting? What's going on, right? It's a very provocative title because you're not sure why oiling and fighting has anything to do with each other.
好，所以看到这个题目，一般人会想，那个母语是英文的会想到说，oiled up 大概跟机器有关，你要这个上油，好，那接着要打什么呢？他脑袋里面会觉得，这个到底在讲什么？不清楚。Yeah.
But let's read the article because it's about a very fascinating wrestling tradition. Most countries have national sports that are only popular in that country. In Turkey, the national sport is a variation of wrestling. Wrestling is arguably the world's oldest competitive sport, but it seems the Turks felt it was too easy, so they invented yagli gures, also known as oil wrestling or grease wrestling. The rules of oil wrestling are pretty basic. If you can get your opponent's belly button to point up to the sky, you win. While that may sound simple, it's made much more challenging by the fact that both competitors are coated in olive oil and neither can get a good grip. Participants need to wear extremely heavy leather pants called kispet, and therefore grease wrestling is a very different sport where technique is far more important than size or strength in winning a match. Traditionally, an oil wrestling match would go on as long as necessary. Sometimes they would last hours or even days. In the 1970s, however, the rules were changed so that matches now last no more than 40 minutes, with a tiebreaker at the end of the match if there is no clear winner. Oil wrestling's highest honor is Kirkpinar, an annual wrestling tournament held in Edirne, Turkey. As Kirkpinar began in 1346, it is currently the world's oldest continuously running sporting event. The champion of the tournament wins a golden belt and around $100,000 in prize money. Wrestling has a long history in Turkey, and it is a huge part of its sporting culture. Oil wrestlers are expected to also have apprentices that they train so that the wrestling tradition will continue to live on. The cultural passion for a regional form of wrestling has made its mark on the world stage as well. A wrestling move called the Turk was so named when Turkish wrestlers dominated the 1948 Olympics with the move. Wrestling continues to be a major cultural force in Turkey and among its neighbors, and it seems like the world's oldest sport will be around for a long time to come. I feel like this is an example of what happens is when you do something for a long time and it gets easy, you have to do things to make it harder to keep it interesting. But the thing that jumped out for me in this article was that what the oil does is it equalizes the playing field. It becomes about technique rather than about size and strength, which means anyone can learn it as opposed to just depending on the kind of body you're born with.
Yeah, 这种运动改良版，类似某一种改良版的摔跤，它的好处是不见得说你体型大的人一定可以赢啊，这个地方靠的更多的是技术，这个也不错。
So, most countries have national sports that are only popular in that country. American football.
啊，所以它大多数的国家呢，会有一些国家的运动啊，但是这些国家运动呢，只有在那个国家啊，在当事国家或者在那个本国才受到大家的欢迎。那刚刚这个 Angela 是开了一个玩笑哈，他这个低声咳嗽啊，那其实在指的就是，例如说美式足球啊，美式足球大概只有在美国是最流行的啊，别的地方没有那个场地，也没有那个设备等等的来玩。
Nobody else plays that sport, as far as I know.
啊，不过在美国哇，这个是很大家很疯的一个运动。
You know, growing up, I never understood what was the appeal. I was like, okay, it's an excuse to eat things while staring at the television, I guess.
Yeah. 啊，所以也许这个 Angela 老师说，他从小到大从来不觉得 那个美式足球它的魅力在哪边啊？那也许它就是一个机会，给大家能够在电视前面看看运动比赛，然后吃东西，也许就是这样子。Yeah.
If our national sport had been actual football, British football, European football,
Wow.
I would probably have been glued to the television like everyone else.
所以如果是这个美国的国家运动，如果是这种就一般人欧洲的那种足球的话那这个 Angela 老师可能就会黏在电视机前面，因为他很喜欢看。
But we're talking about Turkey today, and in Turkey, the national sport is a variation of wrestling. A variation of something is a particular variety of it, or a particular type of that thing.
所以在土耳其呢，他们的国家运动是摔跤 wrestling 的一种 variation， 一种变化所以它是某一种摔跤，但是跟一般的摔跤又不太一样，这个叫做 a variation of wrestling。So
wrestling as a concept is arguably, you could argue this, you could try to prove that it's the world's oldest competitive sport. It's not the world's oldest sport, it's the world's oldest competitive sport where people were trying to be the winner out of a group of people. But it seems the Turks felt it was too easy. That is, they thought wrestling is like, we're so good at wrestling. So let's do it more interestingly. Let's make it more fun. So they invented Yagli Gures, which is also known as oil wrestling or grease wrestling, because there's no sport that can't be improved by making it harder or slipperier.
Yeah. 好，所以呢，他说这个 wrestling 是 arguably 就是 it may be argued， 也就是说你可以去这个论证，你可以这么说。那当我们用到 arguably 的时候呢，它的言下之意就是有人可能不同意的意思或者甚至有的人他可能有证据告诉你说其实不是，或者有人不同意但是我觉得是，或者很多人觉得是，这个时候你就可以说 arguably。所以他说很多人认为，或者是我们可以说这个 wrestling 可能是全世界最古老的 the oldest the world's oldest competitive sport， 就是这个competitive 是竞技的，运动是sport 是运动，所以 competitive sport 就是竞技的运动所以摔跤可能是全世界最古老的竞技运动，但是呢 it seems 看起来好像是说这个 the Turks 这个土耳其人呢觉得摔跤太容易了这个运动很古老但是他因为太古老或者是很多人在玩，那他们觉得说哇这个太容易了，所以他们就发明了一个这个Yagli Gures那这个就是他们讲的这种涂油的摔跤，那 also known as 另称它的别名叫做 oil wrestling， 那就是涂油的摔跤，或者是 grease wrestling。那这 oil 跟 grease 都是油那有一点差别是 oil 主要指的是那种不溶于水的那种动物油或者植物油例如说橄榄油，那是一种 oil。那 grease 呢，你会常常会跟那个 lubricant 跟那个润滑油润滑的那种感觉这个联想在一起，这是 grease。Lubricant 润滑的，或者是 animal fat， 那也是一种 grease。那煮饭的时候用的，或者煮饭产生的那种油，也那个就是 grease。所以说这个菜好油那个是用 grease。Okay,
that's interesting. I was going to say the difference for me between oil and grease is that oil is more liquid and grease is more solid state.
Yeah.
So if something is greasy, it's like too much thick oil.
Yeah, that's another way to look at it.
Okay.
因为你说那个像猪油啦像我记得小时候妈妈做菜弄那个猪油，那种感觉是 grease， 所以比较沙的，比较固态，比较浓的那个叫做 grease。那 oil 呢，这个 Angela 说他认为 oil 是比较稀的，比较像水的，比较液体化的，所以就像我刚刚讲，它这种不溶于水的那种动物油或植物油你这个如果说油跟水放在一起，你会看到上面这个浮起来那个就是 oil。Yeah,
but grease does work better as a lubricant because it's thicker and it won't run off.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 所以这个grease 它可以用来当这个润滑油，因为它比较 thick， 比较浓而且这个不会说像那个 oil 薄薄的一层。
Which is why you pack bearings with grease, but you don't pack bearings with oil. Because the oil won't stay in the bearing, but the grease will.
Yeah, 所以这个轴承 bearing 你要润滑的话，你是把它放在那个grease 里面，不是放在 oil 里面。
So the rules of oil wrestling are pretty basic. It's very easy to win. In theory, all you have to do is get your opponent's belly button to point up to the sky. So basically, you got to get him flat on his back or her back. And if you do that, you win. That's easy, right?
好，所以呢，他这个描述蛮好玩。他说，这种 oil wrestling 它的规则的 rules are pretty basic 是蛮基本的简单的说就是，如果你可以 get your opponent's belly button 你如果能够让你的对手 opponent 他的肚脐能够怎么样 to point up to the sky 让他的肚脐朝天往上指，换句话说，他躺在地上，而且背这个靠贴着地躺在地上，也就是说，你能够把他摔倒，让他这个四脚朝天，那你就赢了 ，you win。So
while that may sound simple, and it does sound simple, it's made much more challenging by the fact that both competitors are coated in olive oil, and neither can get a good grip. Like, wow, that would be so hard. Also, I bet these guys' skin is so beautiful.
这些选手皮肤可能都很棒，因为上面都覆满了油那所以他说，这个oil wrestling 你就要把对手摔倒就好了他说，while 就虽然 that may sound simple 听起来好像蛮简单的 sound 后面直接加一个形容词当补语，就是听起来怎么样的意思，所以听起来很简单，但是呢 it's made much more challenging 那它被变成更加具有挑战性的一个形式。被什么变成更有挑战性呢？被 by the fact that 被底下这个事实使得它更有挑战性。那这个什么事实让它更有挑战性呢？就是 both competitors 两个竞争的对手呢 are coated in olive oil 他们都全身涂满了 are coated 就好像那个油好像一件外套穿在身上那种感觉，也就是涂满的意思包覆裹覆着这个橄榄油。然后呢 neither 双方都没有办法可以 get a good grip 没有办法抓牢的意思get a good grip 就是抓牢。那这个 grip 本来就是一个 firm hold 所以这个 tight grasp 所以换句话说，你要把对方摔倒，你要先抓牢对方才能摔嘛。但是因为两个人身上都涂了油，所以你很难把对方抓牢，让他再来摔他。
Participants need to wear extremely heavy leather pants, and these are called kisbet. And the article doesn't explain what the point of the leather pants is, although I imagine it cushions the fall when you fall down.
Yeah.
And I guess it gives you some kind of a grip. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, these heavy leather pants probably also kind of get in the way when you're trying to like stand or, I don't know. I bet it impedes your ability to use your legs as part of the wrestling too. I don't know. Grease wrestling is a very different sport. And it's where technique is far more important than size or strength in winning a match. And that's what makes it interesting. Because if you can just look at the people and be like, oh, that dude's big and strong, so he's going to win, then there's no point in the sports match in a way. But if you're not sure who has the skill, then you got to have the match to find out. That's way more interesting.
没错所以他说参加的人呢，他们需要 wear 穿着 extremely heavy extremely 就极端的 heavy 是厚重的，这个 leather 就是皮革的这个 pants 他们的这个裤子，那这种裤子有专门名称叫做 kisbet。那因此呢，这个 Grease wrestling is a very different sport， 因为他们要穿很厚重的这个裤子而且身上涂满了油，所以它是一个很不同的运动。Where 就是指在这样的运动里面呢 ，technique 技巧 is far more important than size or strength， 技巧比你的这个身材大小 size 或者你的力量大小 strength 要重要的很多所以换句话说，这个地方靠的是技巧，而不是靠你的这个体格或者是你的力量那 in winning a match 这个 in 就在哪方面，所以当他说 is far more important 更加重要，然后后面常常会接一个 in 哪一个 area， 所以在你要赢得比赛这方面来讲，这个技巧是比 size 跟这个 strength 更加重要，而且重要很多。
I just took a quick peek at Wikipedia. Apparently the pants are part of the grip for winning.
所以这个他们穿的这个厚重的这个皮裤呢，它其实是 跟这个它可以让对手去抓住这个裤子这样的话就可以赢。不然你如果真的全身光滑滑的没东西抓的话
What are you going to grab? Nothing.
对，没东西可以抓，你可能就像他底下讲的，你可能要抓好几天，摔好几天，没有人会被摔倒。
Yeah. So it makes it a little bit easier, not impossible. Anyways, traditionally, an oil wrestling match would go on as long as necessary. You gotta love a culture that's like, sure, however long it takes, we're here.
Yeah. 好，所以这个很有趣。他说，传统上面呢，这种涂油摔跤呢，它的一个比赛，一个 match， 它可以 go on， 可以持续 as long as necessary， 需要多久就多久，就是分到胜负为止。
That's a kind of patience and a kind of mindset. You know?
Yeah, 这个是比耐力，那也是比你的心智能力啊。因为有时候比到后来，哪一个人突然之间一闪神、一失神，或者突然之间一觉得这个丧失信心，可能就刹那之间就会被摔倒。
It makes me remember, I read a book by a British guy who went to visit Turkey a couple centuries ago. And he was all like, wow, when you set a meeting with people here, you can't just be like 2 o'clock and everyone shows up. You say 2 o'clock and maybe 2 hours later, everyone's showed up. And meanwhile, you're just expected to hang out and chat. He was so frustrated by this. So you can see that Turkey had a different concept of what time or promptness meant.
Yeah, 好，所以这个土耳其人他们可能传统上面对时间的概念不太一样所以比赛那你们就比吧，比到分到胜负为止那 Angela 说他以前读过一本书，里面讲到一个几百年前一个英国人到土耳其去，他就觉得说你如果跟他就约开会，约下午2点，大家可能下午4点才到所以大家的时间观念很不一样。
This was Turkey in the 1800s, by the way.
差不多是这个19世纪的土耳其 yeah.
So the wrestling matches would go on as long as needed, and sometimes they would last hours, sometimes even days.
Wow.
Like you could go home, have a nap, come back. I don't know, would the wrestlers take a break?
I don't think so.
No, would they just be going on for like 3 days in a row and not eating and not sleeping?
That would be very impressive. Wow. 所以看起来他说有的时候这个比赛可能会 last 持续 hours 持续好几个小时那已经不简单了，甚至于 even days 甚至于可能比赛两个人各位可以想象，两个人抓在那里然后这个互相比赛摔倒对方都摔不倒势均力敌，可能要在这个比力气比好几天才把对方摔倒那这很不得了 yeah.
In the 1970s, however, I guess the time-conscious modern world caught up with Turkey and they're like, you know what? No more. And so the rules were changed so that matches now last no more than 40 minutes. And there's a tiebreaker at the end of the match if there is no clear winner. Everyone no longer wants to sit around watching a wrestling match for days.
Yeah. 所以到1970年代呢这个规则改变了 The rules were changed. 那 so that 结果是呢这个比赛现在的比赛呢不会超过40分钟 last no more than 40 minutes. 好，那有一个 tiebreaker 就是一个延长赛或者一个决胜局at the end of the match 40分钟到了底，如果还是没有分出胜负的话，会有一个决胜局或者是有一个延长赛。tiebreaker 在网球里面指的是一个决胜局那 if there is no clear winner 没有很明显的一个得胜者的话，那大家延长赛，但是它一定有一个制度，就是不会让你说两个人在那边这个摔跤摔了几个小时分不出胜负。
What's the tiebreaker? Do they do like rock, paper, scissors or something?
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm curious now. Oil wrestling's highest honor is Kirkpinar, which is an annual wrestling tournament held in Edirne, Turkey.
好，那这个地方呢，我们可以看到他说这个涂油摔跤最高的荣耀是这种 Kirkpinar 那同也可以告诉你，它是一个 annual 一个年度性的 wrestling tournament 一个摔跤的锦标赛。那在哪里呢？在这个土耳其的这个Edirne 这个地方举行。
As Kirkpinar began in 1346, which is hella long ago, it is currently the world's oldest continuously running sporting event. Wow, so this sporting event has been going on for 700 years. more or less. To say, here's the thing, I made a mistake. I said it was currently the world's oldest continuously running sporting event. That would imply that it used to be but is no longer. But it actually is currently, it still is the longest running sporting event.
Yeah, 所以它仍然是，所以这种现在是 it is 啊，所以他说这个比赛是1346年开始的，所以目前 currently 它是世界最老的一个 continuously running， 就是持续进行的、持续举办的哈 ，continuously 就是没有间断的啊，持续举办的一个 sporting event 啊，所以这个历史悠久。为什么他要强调是 currently 呢？因为万一哪一天他不办了啊，那可能会有别的比赛可能会超过他，不过看起来是不太可能。
The champion of the tournament wins a golden belt. Nice. And around $100,000 in prize money. Also nice.
Yeah, 所以这个冠军呢可以赢得一个金腰带啊，然后呢还有大约10万元美金的这个奖金啊，所以各位可以看到它的表示方法 around 啊，把这个钱的数目写出来，然后后面告诉你这个是 in prize money， 就是在奖金方面有这样的一个数字。
You know, since Turkey's been doing wrestling the longest and they give out belts as their prize, that explains why American wrestling tournaments also do belts.
哦，所以也许哈，因为土耳其他们摔跤比赛会有这个腰带哈，所以美国哈，包括日本都有他们的这个摔跤比赛，也都是赢的人都是有一个腰带。
Yeah, it seems to go together.
Yeah.
So wrestling has a long history in Turkey, goes without saying, and it is a huge part of its sporting culture, so people are very into wrestling.
Yeah, 所以在土耳其摔跤有很长的历史，而且它是它的这个土耳其的运动文化很重要、很大的一部分。
Oil wrestlers are expected to also have apprentices, so they're expected to train up people in their craft so that the wrestling tradition will continue to live on. That's cool.
Yeah, 那这些这个摔跤手呢，涂油摔跤手，他们 are expected to， 大家会预期，大家会认为他们应该要have apprentices， 就是徒弟啊，学徒啦啊 ，apprentice 就是学徒，就跟着你学的那样的学徒啊。那 that they train， 他们会训练这些学徒啊，就他们会有一些他们所训练的学徒，叫做 they also have apprentices。that they train. 好，目的是这个 the wrestling tradition 摔跤的传统 will continue to live on， 可以持续的传承下去，叫做 live on.
So this cultural passion for a regional form of wrestling has made its mark on the world stage as well. To make your mark on something is to make people aware of you or what you do. And so the Turkish passion for wrestling became known on the world stage.
好，所以这个土耳其式的这样的一个这个摔跤呢，这种文化啊，那而且它是一种 cultural passion 啊，是一种这个文化的一种热情 for a regional form of wrestling。它本来是一个地区性的一种摔跤的形式，但是它背后所的那个文化的热情呢 ，has made its mark。To make its mark 就是 attain recognition 或者是 distinction 啊，已经受到了注目啊，或受到了注意了哈。On the world stage as well， 在世界舞台也受到注意了。所以它本来是个 regional form of wrestling， 本来是区域性的一种摔跤形式，但是现在呢，这个世界舞台也注意到了。
But the world sat up and noticed when a wrestling move called the Turk, it was named when Turkish wrestlers dominated the 1948 Olympics with the move. So Turkish wrestlers used their own tradition of wrestling to completely win. To dominate the Olympics means that they won practically every category, or maybe every category, just using this one move. And everyone else was like, Whoa, what's that? Oh, it's the Turk.
好，所以有一个 wrestling， 有一个摔跤的一个 move， 一个招式，好，就称为土耳其人 the Turk。好，他被这样子的命名 was so named。为什么呢？因为在1948年的奥林匹克这个运动会上呢，土耳其的 wrestlers， 他们的摔跤选手呢 dominated 当年的奥运所谓 dominate 就是宰制了。当年的奥运大概他每一项大概都拿了冠军就靠这一招 with the move， 就靠这一招当年打遍天下无敌手。
Wrestling continues to be a major cultural force in Turkey. It's a very big deal in Turkey and among its neighbors. The people around Turkey also are into this sport. And so it seems like the world's oldest sport will be around for a long time to come.
好，所以 wrestling 一直continues to be 持续是一个主要的文化力量在土耳其而且在土耳其的这个邻居之间也是一样，邻国之间也是一样，大家都知道这是非常土耳其的一种运动。那看起来这个世界上最古老的这样的一个运动，也就是这个土耳其的涂油摔跤呢 will be around， 就是还会存在 for a long time to come， 就是未来还很长一段时间都会存在。好，这个 for a long time to come 就是 for a long time in the future 的意思。
So here's some questions. Number 1 is, according to the passage, according to what the article you just read, which of the following statements is true?
根据本文，下列叙述何者正确？
The answer is A. Wrestling is probably the oldest existing sport. To the extent that you can prove anything, we think wrestling is the oldest. Not sport, competitive sport.
好，所以呢，他说摔跤可能是现存最古老的这种竞技运动
Number 2, how long does a typical oil wrestling match last today? Not 100 years ago?
好，现今一场典型的涂油摔跤比赛大概会持续多久呢？
And the answer is B, up to 40 minutes with a tiebreaker if necessary.
答案是 B， 最多40分钟再加一场决胜局如果需要的话。
And number 3, what is not mentioned in the passage? What didn't we talk about?
下列哪一个在本文里面没有被提到呢？
The answer is D. We didn't talk about the most famous champion wrestler.
答案是 D。好，我们没有谈到最著名的摔跤冠军。
And number 4, what can be inferred or understood without being said about Turkey's neighboring countries from the passage?
好，那关于土耳其的邻国，从本文可以推论出什么呢？
The answer is B. Can be inferred that wrestling is also popular in nearby cultures because we said it's a major cultural force in Turkey and among its neighbors. So that way we can be like, oh, the people around them also like wrestling.
答案是 B 摔跤运动在它周遭文化当中也很受欢迎因为文章里面有一段最后他讲到说这土耳其摔跤仍然是一种 major cultural force 在 Turkey 而且是 among its neighbors 换句话说它的邻国应该也会玩这种运动。
So I guess if you saw a bunch of sports people, you could pick out the oil wrestler just by the glow of their skin.
Yeah 所以你如果看到一群运动员呢，你可能很容易就可以发现这个涂油摔跤手因为他的皮肤应该会很好。
So that's all we have for you today, but please come back again next time for more